Have you always been intentional with your film projects?
Yes. Yes, though sometimes I would question the intention. Like, was the intention a certain outcome that I wanted? Or was the intention like, the story needs to get told and I'm the one to tell it? Where I feel like early on when you're learning directing and film, I was learning also like my voice and more deeply like the stories that I wanted to be a part of telling. And I think that it was shaped a lot by my time in Columbia and then working in documentary. And even now, and recently with the war between, I think the historical drama aspect of it, and it's a true story. Like I've kind of found my niche more with that, and my space that I feel the most comfortable in and excited by. But yeah, the intention has always been, what kind of story do I want to tell, and why am I telling it? And if I'm trying to be overly strategic about something, it doesn't really work. So early on, it's like, okay, I wanted to try doing like a more commercial kind of rom-com. Overly strategized and like, oh, people are going to see my range and I can like be this commercial director and like it's glossy and fun. But that's not what happened. It was almost like I had to just not even think about the end result and strategize what I think would happen. It was more like, what story do I really want to tell? What is the most impactful for me? And it's more like the passion behind like the why.
Why is it important to work on projects you feel aligned with?
Because I think when you feel aligned with a certain project, that's the fuel that keeps you going. And it's that passion to tell that story because you really need that, especially in the indie world where you have no time and very little money. And everything feels like a struggle and you're just pushing. That need to tell that story is what animates you to keep it going and to lead your team and to have that level of excitement and purpose while you're on set and then even through the post process. So I think that's a very important inception point with any project.
Why is it important for you to work on stories where you showcase someone making a difference?
Well, I think people can tell whatever stories they want to tell, and that's fine. But I think for me, it's like I want to be a part of something that pushes society forward in a more productive way and tells the story of people who have done that and how things can shift from art. I don't want to get in that position where it's like being judgmental about who makes what or like what kind of stories get told. But for me specifically, I feel like there's film is such a beautiful space to showcase these amazing people and stories. And so it's like, yeah, which ones are you going to tell? And I think that it shows like the challenges that if people, instead of going with the flow, and they stand up and take challenge, they challenge themselves to make the difference they want, and seeing an example of that in film, I have to take a second to think of like examples, but I think that being able to see it, like me as a kid growing up and watching certain films, when you have exposure to those stories, it can happen, and it can be something that you yourself do too. So it's almost like a aspirational or inspirational tool that way.
When you talked about your thesis film at Emerson, and then you talked about this rom-com and stuff, at that time, you thought maybe that's what you wanted to do, but then over time something maybe shifted or life happened, and I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah, this sounds like there has to be a meaning. It just can't be just fluff. There has to be something there.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like almost like I'm trying to put those dots together still, understanding what shifted. And if it was like just like the experience of living life and maturity and that kind of thing, or if it really was like something more that clicked. And it's something that I'm still thinking about. I'm still trying to like parse together all of that information. And like, I think when you're really, like when you're young and starting out, you're so ambitious and you want to do it so right, and you don't want to mess up, and you don't want to like make the wrong choice. And so that's what I was saying, like being overly strategic about what I was doing, it almost was cutting the flow off. It was like forced instead of just this natural thing. That I think that was really, and when you're young, like younger, you don't want to make mistakes, and you think the stakes are so high, and how dare you fail or not make it if you have this opportunity. But I think we have to give ourselves grace to learn and learn from our mistakes and learn by doing, and it just takes the doing. And maybe you do fail a couple times, and that's what you learn the most from.
Right, and we've talked to filmmakers that have, done, let's say, war documentaries. We've talked about how soldiers will come home and, quote, their levels are blown out and they can't adjust back to normal life, and a family barbecue is no longer the same. And so maybe some of the things that you experience, that you just realize I need meaning behind what I do. Like, I can't just do whatever that's pretty, or there has to be like an essence to what it is.
Yes. That's a really insightful comparison, because and I've worked with veterans, and that is part of what helped focus me more on that, like working with them, and then seeing that they were able to adjust to being on set and running set, or tech advising on set, or directing on set. It's almost like a parallel to their military training. And I saw that, and I was like, that's so cool, because it's like they understand hierarchy and then order and execution. But that working with veterans has been part of that evolution, I think, for me.
And that was with Peter Berg?
Yeah, it was a Peter Berg. It was at Film 45,
and
History Channel, and it was Navy SEALs and Army Rangers that created the show and ran the show. And we had a story team and our editing team, and I focused a lot on the archival for that. And that was a year and a half, and I loved that show. And I think that I learned a lot from that. Being on set for the recreations of that show helped. It was like, the exposure to see how it was done helped me to visualize how I was going to do certain battle scenes for the war between.
And they filmed those here, like in the high desert or something, or
they shot let's see, there was a couple locations, but one of the main ones was Blue Cloud in Santa Clarita. I think it was
okay. Mm-hmm.
Clint Eastwood had it for American Sniper. He like built it for American Sniper, and so I feel like everything I watch is like Blue Cloud now, if it's like set in that time, in the Global War on Terror time, but mostly there, and then a couple other locations.
And so you watched a lot of these veterans, their attention to detail, their respect for rank.
Yeah, it's they have singular focus on what they want to accomplish. They know how to work with a team, and they understand hierarchy. So I think like that translates really well to working on set. And there's like a flow with it, and there's order, and it's very organized, and that was cool to see.
And no trouble getting up early for call time? No? It's just, okay, yeah, that's like the toughest part of it.
I think there was a couple night shoots that was kind of tough, but it was fun. It was fun. I love being on set. I think for me, it's like the excitement is set, and then like the down is post. Like the crashing, like you have this high adrenaline from running set or being on set and running around, and then you're in post and it's kind of boring. I find it a little bit boring.
Yeah, well, kind of sitting behind a computer can kind of make you depressed after a while.
I just love the collaboration of set too. It's like everyone's working together for one goal, and you have all the department heads and all the different people, and that to me it's just always a fun thing.
Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.